Jai Hind and welcome to yet another episode of the BGN podcast. Today's episode is for students aspiring or planning to study abroad. We'll be talking about complications like isolation, lifestyle changes, cultural shock, and some personal insights from our guest speaker today, who is the handsome youth icon of the Sunbeam Group and a leading figure for many of its students, the Honorable Director of Sunbeam, Mr. Harsh Madhok, who has himself spent many of his younger days in Australia during his academic journey. Bhumi, did you know that according to a meta study, Indian students are spending $47 billion annually studying abroad, which is having a huge negative impact on our foreign exchange reserves. So let's start with podcast with some take on that.
First of all, those figures are very, daunting. That $47 billion is being sent outside of India. So that money could have been in India, and we could have made private universities in India, and those universities could have staff which is gets paid. That $47 billion. That money could be used as tuition fee, and it could be better for the Indian economy if Indians faculty and staff were making money from that situation. So I think it's a cause of concern, and I feel that the government has increased the number of private universities. I believe in the last 10 to 12 years since the new government, Modi government has come, I feel that the number of colleges and universities have increased. Universities have increased. I think it was about 500. I'm not going to be quoted, but I think it's doubled from 500 to 1,000 plus. 1,200 universities have now opened in India. And I feel that we are trying to resolve that lacuna. A lot of private colleges. There's lovely professional university. There's Amity. There's Sharda. There's so many universities which have now Indian private Manipal University, private universities, which are investing in India, and we are trying to, and I feel that the government has also been cognizant of this, and they are trying to come up with public-private partnership, especially with, and also allowing foreign universities to set up campuses in India. I think this is also a big thing. They are looking at ways in which foreign universities can set up colleges in India and give their degrees to Indian students without students needing to go abroad and take that, because when universities set up campuses in India, even if they make some money, the other aspects such as living cost and that monetary flow is restricted within the country. So studying abroad is not just about giving money to the university. It's also 50% of your cost will be related to non-university, such as boarding, lodging, food, traveling. Those expenses are also very important. So I feel that foreign universities coming to India may be better for the Indian economy, and I think that's what the government is looking at.
So, in the past 2 decades, as you mentioned that in your younger days during your academic journey, you spent a lot of your younger days in Australia. So, what do you think are the changes right in the current education, private education market in specific, that have happened in the last 2 decades?
Uh, I honestly have not been in touch with what's recent development in the education sector, private, because that I'm not from that field now, so I cannot give a very qualified answer. I do feel that new emerging technologies and new scope for, let's say, biotechnology was not a very big field back then, and biotech has become very big. Computer science, which was my subject, has evolved tremendously now with data science and artificial intelligence courses. Earlier, it was more to do with computer application, MCA, BCA courses which were there. But now you have data science courses, you have machine learning, artificial intelligence. These courses have just been introduced in universities and colleges in India and abroad, which have, and biotechnology is a new field as well. So I feel that those are some of the changes which I see, which have come up, and universities are also trying to evolve and keep pace with the changing things in the in the industry. I think industry link is very important, and I think universities are moving towards that all across the world.
So, as someone who have experience to live abroad, how can you share your settlement experience, the isolation you felt, the culture discrimination, and the setting of the whole panel to a new life?
Yes, the first, when I was in Australia, the first 6 months to 1 year were not easy, um, because the college I was staying at was mostly of Australians, so it was not an international hostel. It was mostly Australians, and I had some, cultural problems which I faced, loneliness, and I felt alone as well at the same time. It's very important that when you're studying abroad, to find community of your own kind of people, Indian students as well. So I think the mistake I made when I went to Australia was that I was just trying to be friends with the Australian people, thinking that since I am here, so I should, submerge myself totally into Australian culture. But it doesn't work completely like that. Yes, you have to incorporate and make friends with people who are from the different country, from let's say, where you're going. But at the same time, you need to have friends who are from the same country you're coming from, so that you have some things in common also, and you can share some ideas as well. So I will strongly suggest that whenever you are planning to go abroad to study, that you do have some friends from India itself with whom you are personally in touch with all the time, because that's how you will learn from each other.
So, expanding on the same topic, can you suggest some more? Can you share some more suggestions for students who are in another country from India studying and who are facing mental health issues? Can you expand more on that topic of how can they help themselves?
Just like I said earlier, when you have make a community of, let's say, if you're going abroad to study in some country, you find the Indian students who are also going to the same university, and make a good group of friends who are there. So it doesn't, don't completely, you must make new friends who are international students as well, but don't forget to connect with your own community, because otherwise it gets very lonely, and isolation is very much a problem. So whenever you are, moving into an apartment, or you are in a hostel setting, make sure that you have your friends who you connect with and you relate with, and with whom you're talking with, who are maybe doing the same course as you, or from the same city as you, let's say from Varanasi, then somebody, you find somebody who's from Gorakhpur or Azamgarh, and with someone with whom you have some things in common with, because it's better when you are with other people, because otherwise isolation is not easy and you don't have anyone to talk to. So make sure that you are always connected to somebody from the same community there.
So, what are the strategies that you made to overcome this loneliness?
And like except uh, because we're just trying to get some more suggestions for our students except the community thing, and I feel like that is very important what you said about the community thing, because I live here not with my parents. I live isolated from them, so it really helps to have your friends, and I completely agree on that. But I believe, as someone who has spent years out, you can actually help with
Yes,
more
I'll answer.
suggestions.
I'll give an example. Let's say you go abroad and study in Canada, then I think in every city there are, like, basically you can get involved in the Indian community. Basically, I when I was in Australia, we would go to gurdwaras every now and once in a while, and we would volunteer to do service there. So you could get involved with the local religious communities there, even ISKCON. which is which is everywhere rather in all the Western cities. So you could get involved in some sort of volunteer work, starting from Varanasi itself. You start from Varanasi, you start getting involved in the community, in the religious things here. And when you go abroad, you can get affiliated to ISKCON or some Gurdwara or some other mandir temple if you want to. And you can build relationships with people there, and that way you will feel that you are, you're not isolated from everything. So I think that's a good example I can give. The other example I would give is sports is a very good, for me sports and fitness has been therapy, and I enjoyed playing basketball. That's how I made friends with a lot of Australian people, because I was playing basketball, and I was a sportsman, so I made lots of friends. We played sports, we played basketball, we went to the gym together, and then in fact I remember I went to I was studying in Melbourne, so I went to Melbourne cricket ground a couple of times for football matches. So I went for football matches with Australian friends of mine, and that way you feel part of the community as well. So let's say if Indian cricket team is also coming there, so you can go for those matches. Or you can, or let's say if India is playing in IPL, and you can organize in your own university or hostel, you can organize a TV showing live of the matches there, and everyone comes together, and you cheer for your team, whichever team you support. So I think those are some of the strategies which you can use to break ice and become friends with people there, so that you're not feeling lonely.
From what I drew from your suggestions for students who are planning to study abroad, especially in the sphere of economy, do you think that, correct me if I'm wrong here, do you think that students would be better off investing that kind of money in our country itself?
I feel that students should think about themselves first, as opposed to national GDP, or whether the money they are spending is it better to be spent in India or abroad. Because I feel when you should be selfish for your own good. So let's say you individually get into a very good college, so you shouldn't worry about whether that money is going out of the country or not, because you're doing it for your own education. So I thought about myself, first when I went to Australia. I didn't think about why that I'm taking, so much money, hard-earned money, and spending outside for that. And I knew the people who would be benefiting would be Australian faculty there. But I still did it for my own selfish reasons. So I think that you have to think what is best for you. Stop thinking in terms of GDP and whether that it's okay whether your money is going abroad or whether it's India. Forget all of those questions. Think what is best for your education, for your career, and for your job placement. I think most important is for your personal job placement. If you go to an American university and they are taking lots of money, but at the same time you know that you will get a fantastic job in US after that, then you should take that opportunity. You should not think twice about it. That's what my opinion is on this matter. And that will be for that, and you have to do that for you and for your family. So I think that's self first is most important, I feel. What is best for you? Forget what the geopolitical situation is. Forget all of that. Think about what is best for you first.
So, being in the private education scene, what do you think about the rising student loans, which are a major issue that is, rising in the country?
I think a student loan is an important aspect, and I'll throw one light here. The student in America, most of the public education is subsidized, and students get loan from the government to study. But the problem is many students in the US, they're going for courses in arts and liberal arts because they feel that they like it more. They're more passionate about it. Now the problem happens is because they're not getting jobs, especially after they do liberal arts degrees. And they still have a lot of student loan. So you have student debt, which is, which you have to pay, but you have done a course for which there is no job, market. So I strongly recommend that if you are going to study abroad, you should not go for courses you should not go for courses where there is no scope for job, or there is less scope for job. Because otherwise it's a waste of your money, and you'll have a student loan which you'll not be able to repay back. So this is a huge problem in the US. In India, parents are more concerned, because I think in India, people don't take student debt. I think we are not a country which is more into getting student debt as of now, although that even that is changing. Mostly parents pay from their own pocket for their children's future. That has been the case mostly so far. Now it is changing. So if you are going to take a loan, remember that it's a big risk. It's like starting a business. So you don't start a business in which there is no scope for making money. So you should not take a course in which there is no scope for you to get a job, I feel personally. So select your courses accordingly. One more thing I will say on this matter is that in India, I feel we are more obsessed with getting white collar jobs, in which I have a office job basically. In the West, they have respect for everyone, for plumbers, carpenters, electricians, everyone, construction workers. Everyone is respected. And what happens is that if you do a vocational, like a skill-based vocational program, you might actually get better jobs than if you did some theory-based, course in which there is no scope for getting jobs. This is very prevalent in abroad, and now it's happening in India also. So that's why Modi ji has now said that we have so many graduates in India who are not getting jobs, and for them, that's why he's encouraging that please look at skill development, vocational studies, skill development, because now we are all respecting people who work hard and who have a job. And who can do things which white collar isn't able to do. We call it blue collar work. This is plumbing and carpentry, electrician. Those are blue collar jobs. Fireman. So those kind of things are still required. Construction workers. Those jobs have a lot of respect in foreign, and I think that is the scenario is going to change also. It's a societal thing. Because there's no point in getting qualified and not having job. That's not a good thing. It's better to have a good source of making money. So I think that's what I hope I've answered some of your questions, sir.
Yes, sir, definitely. And while we are in the sphere of respecting people and their job, totally so. And while we are in the domain of respecting people and their jobs, did you personally face any problem of racism while you were in Australia, since this has become a major problem lately?
I think that people take these things way too seriously, and they give names and labels to it. We are always. What makes you think Indians who in India are not racist? Do you think we are less racist towards people who are coming from South or from other places or from Northeast to work in India or in Delhi or Varanasi? I feel that we are all in some way have those tendencies. So we should not, and you cannot say that it's a problem of one country or one race of people. We all have certain, preferences, if you will. We like our own kind, I feel. And that you can't call it racist, because if you are doing it yourself, you think it's natural. If somebody else is doing it to you, you feel it's racism. So I feel that it's something which you should just shrug it off and say, yes, I'm Indian, If you don't, the best way to do that is to just admit, okay, I'm from India, and I like my food spicy, or if someone says you like your food too spicy, then you can say, yes, I like my food spicy. So I think that's the level of racism you might face. So you have to just laugh at it and say, yes, I'm like that. I have certain preferences, and this is what my bringing up was. And yes, I have an accent. So you have to just admit, yes, I have an accent. I can speak, at least I can speak English. Maybe you can't speak Hindi. So that's how you have to counter those things. And I think that it's everywhere. So we as Indians also are racist, I feel. So we don't realize that. But if you ask somebody who's from Northeast or even who's coming from South India, they'll tell you that they feel neglected when they come to North India to study in schools and colleges here. I think
So
there was a movie on that, Two States. There was a movie which was about, North Indian and South Indian coming together. So you could feel that they came from different cultures. So you can call that also racism in a way. So it's everywhere.
Sir, I completely agree with the things you said that, that amount of racism, it can be more like a subjective comedic thing, but there have been cases of police brutality and, problems with people while getting jobs even, and there have been problems such as, more severe crimes which have lately emerged, which were linked to racism. So, what do you think of that kind of racism?
Um, yes, I feel that times have changed. When I was studying in Australia, that this issue was not so much prevalent. But unfortunately, today things all over the world. It's not just Australia. I'll say it's even India. So you don't blame one country over other. I think every country is moving towards nationalism. Every country wants to. Think of how we have this new CAA. This new CAA is here in India. So many people can interpret it as racism and police brutality against people who are coming from Bangladesh or Pakistan and immigrants. So I feel that it's everywhere, and you have to again you have to think very smartly. There are certain countries with which India has a good relationship with, where you are less likely to have you have to feel racism than others. So you have to be smart about that. You have to realize, you have to do your research. It's not about blaming somebody or saying, going on the internet and saying, okay, I don't want to go to this place because it doesn't, maybe it's not welcoming of Indian students. It's fine. There might be some truth to that. So you just have to do what is right for you. If being in India is right for you at this time because of the geopolitical situation, then maybe you should be in India, because times change now. I mean, you cannot keep comparing how things were 20 years ago. So you can, but I mean, you can't go back in time and be 20 years ago where we didn't have such problems and police brutality. But sadly, there might be some truth to that. And I know, for example, African American community, they are from America, but they still have brutality on them, and there's truth to that. And at the same time, there are cities like Chicago, where it's mostly one of those liberal states, and even California, where there is the police is not doing anything. The police is not doing anything, and there is homelessness and drug dealers which are there. So having no policing also has its negative side effects. So you see everything there. My suggestion is to do what is right for you. And if being in India is right for you, then maybe it's the good right thing.
Agreed, sir. And then talking about changing times. Nowadays, many of the popular Ivy colleges, they provide many of their classes and courses online. And so, do you think that if an Indian student pursues a career, or maybe does a course from these colleges from abroad online, do you think that they will have similar, or maybe near about levels of benefits that they can attain from these online courses, or do you think that they are mostly just a gimmick?
Again, you have to do your research, and you have to see the alumni of the university and see how they are being placed. That data for American universities and colleges is easily available. Uh, I think even in India, now we are getting to know that many students are not, what was it, one third or one fourth of Indian students from IIT Mumbai have not been placed. They have not got placement. So the job market may be a little rough. So you have to, you have to do your own research. You have to do your own research and you have to do detailed research. It's those times where you could close your eyes and select a good college and rest be assured that everything will fall in place. That time does not exist now. You have to question everything at every step. You get into a good college, even that is not guaranteed that you will pass. If you pass, it's not a guarantee that that you can come back to India, let's say from Russia, and get the medical council to and sit the bar exam for law or for medicine, and guaranteed that you will pass it, and then you will get an Indian diploma also. So there are many steps along the way for you to get a good placement. Many steps along the way, and at every step you have to reverse plan your journey, I would say.
And making a conclusion out of what you said, do you agree with the statement that skills are in the current job market more relevant than a degree, be it a degree from maybe an IIT or maybe from a Ivy League college abroad?
I totally agree with you. In the higher education now, I feel what's happening is that the enrollment in uh, this is in the US. I've seen the enrollment in colleges is reducing. After 12th, the enrollment in colleges are reducing because of one thing is student debt is increasing. Second, they're not getting employed even if they study. So because of those things, people are now looking at alternative ways to make sure that they get placed. And that means maybe you can do some courses online, and there are a lot of these certification courses sites which give certification, such as Coursera. Coursera is one of them, and edX is another one of them. So they are giving certification courses which you can study at much less price than what you would if you were going to, let's say, a typical university or college. And in fact, many universities and colleges have tied up with Coursera. I can't think of another name. edX is one, Coursera is one. There are two, three more. And you can do a tie-up. They have industry tie-ups. They'll even giving you, degrees with the tie-up with the university. And they have, they have tie-ups with, I'm talking about computer science mostly. I'm talking about computer science mostly because that's my field of interest. So in computer science, you can do a tie-up with some university, some course, and then you can get a degree also. And they have an industry tie-up with, let's say, IBM or Cisco. And then you get a degree diploma, and that you can use to try to get jobs as well. So I think that there's multiple options now which are there. You can attend job fairs in every year. Pragati Maidan and other places in Bombay and Bangalore, they are having job fairs also. So you can attend those job fairs. You can attend coding boot camps. They have it. They have coding boot camps, and where you can show your skill. You can also, I mean, I'm speaking more from a computer science background because that is my thing. So you can, I mean, if you had to, you could make a portfolio of projects which you are doing, online projects you're doing, computer science projects and coding projects you're doing, and build your resume while you go. So I think if you can take on ad hoc projects, industry-based ad hoc projects, volunteer projects, and internships while you're studying, I think those will really matter. Those take you far. So I'll say strongly recommend that if you are, what are you studying, beta? Just asking.
Maths.
Math.
PMC with
PMC. PMC with?
CS.
CS. Okay, and you?
I'm currently doing humanities with economics and web application.
Web application. Okay, all right. So I will suggest that related to your course, if you can do some sort of internship, or doesn't have to be internship also, it can be a project. Online projects are there, many projects are there. You could build a website, you can build a web application, some database server, something like that, or be part of it. You don't have to do it completely, but you can, join some online forum, get ideas, and build something which is, industry specific, problem solving. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be commercially viable. It has to be a good attempt that you try to make something which is commercially viable. If you do that, I feel that resume can take you places.
So, out of curiosity, I would like to ask one question, that we should pursue graduation from India, and then after we should go for masters we should go abroad, because masters are more likely to be sponsored or somewhat like that.
It depends from person to person. I was fortunate enough to get to get both my graduation and post graduation degrees sponsored, but not everyone is lucky like that. So it depends from person to person. It depends on your situation, uh, and I think it depends on a lot of factors. I think the most important thing you can do, I will recommend, it's not about whether you study in India or abroad. I'll tell you the advantage with American and foreign universities have, that they are more project based. They are less theory but more project based. So I'm trying to give you a solution directly, that if you, while you, let's say you can't afford to go abroad, you're studying in India and you're doing more theory based work. So what you can do is to parallel. First, select universities or courses where there is application based work as opposed to theory. Secondly, try to take up some volunteer projects, and you can just type on Google and you will find a lot of volunteer projects and groups and exercises which you can take up. Simulations you can create, web apps you can create on your own time. Let's say Mark Zuckerberg, he was never given an exercise. He was a Harvard student. He was not never given an exercise to make a social media platform. He made it just because he was interested in doing so. And that itself became his resume. So I think if you just attempt exercises and applications which are in your field, in your line of work, you will create something, and that itself will become your resume for your college and to show to college people and for your job also.
So I completely agree with what you said about having a good portfolio and projects and other things which add to your overall CV, because I feel like those skills and that experience in the current market is more appreciated over formal degrees. And with that, I really thank you for giving us your time, sir. It was a really wonderful session. And on a concluding note, Bhumi, can you please just summarize everything that we went to?
I would like to conclude it like, if we study in India, it is more like theoretical base. But if we study from US or UK, they are more like on project base. So it it is not really important that you study abroad. It is important that you study with a good intention and goodwill to apply in the job market and enroll yourself up.
Yeah, and project based, like do some volunteer project based work, which if your university is not providing you, then you can take it outside of the university, which is outside of your curriculum, which nobody tells you to do. So you don't have to totally depend upon your university to give you projects or applications, industry based. You can search for them online and you can take your own initiative. That's what I will recommend.
So, with that note, we are going to end this episode of the BGN podcast, and I will see you in the next episode along with Bhumi. Stay tuned for that.
So here are some key takeaways from our podcast.
If you are a student who is actually considering to study abroad, make sure that you are graduating with a feasible degree so that you actually get a proper return on investment for your money.
And consider checking Indian universities who are doing phenomenal job, and make sure to be physically fit to be mentally fit.
That's it for today. Stay tuned for more upcoming episodes. We'll see you in the next one. Jai Hind.